nice sweets. Based on, chickpea flour.
A chickpea flour sweet.
Roasted butter and
roasted with butter. All right, so then they would say, oh, Kanhaya. Kanhaya is a nickname of Krishna. So if you dance for us, I will give you a laddu. So Krishna, being controlled by the love of the elderly Brajvasis, he would put one hand on his waist like a dancer, and then he would dance to the rhythm. Tatai, tatai. And he would even sing a sweet little song in his little baby voice. So in various ways, the elderly gopis would make him dance. And he became just like their puppet. Of course, we're going to find out as this verse explanation progresses how he's most controlled by the gopis and how they make him dance. At other times, the gopis would ask Krishna to carry the wooden seat of, there was a wooden seat. Oh, Krishna, carry that wooden seat and bring it to us. And it wasn't a big one. But Krishna, who could lift Govardhan hill, and with the nail of his pinky, was having a great difficulty in picking up that wooden seat. But just the fact that he was trying and failing made them so happy and just melt their hearts. Then another time, they would tell him to carry Nanda Baba, his father's shoes on his head. And he was very proud that he could carry his father's shoes on his head. Then he thought, because he loved his father so much, Father will wear these shoes and attend the assembly of the elder gopis. So then Gurudev is asking, what is the meaning of this first part, Iti Drix, Lalilabir, Ananda Kunde? Kunde means pond. So he drowned the inhabitants of Vrindavan in the pond of bliss. And he also drowned in it. So I want to mention something about the author of this kirtan, because sometimes devotees ask, is the Satyavrat Muni, the sage Satyavrat, the same Satyavrat that, how do you say, was with the fish, found the fish incarnation of Krishna, very small fish, and then the fish immediately filled the pot. Then he got a bigger pot, fish immediately. Finally, he had to throw the fish in the ocean. And because this was an incarnation of Krishna, he took all the living entities on a boat and saved them during the devastating water. So devotees ask, is this the same Satyavrat Muni? So I asked Madhav Maharaj yesterday, and he said there's so many differing opinions, it's hard to discern. But then today, he messaged me on his own, and he said, I just looked at one lecture that Gurudev gave, because I used to take notes. So I looked at my notes, and Gurudev said, no, it's a different one. Satyavrat, who was on a boat and being led by the fish, the big fish incarnation, tied by the Vasuki serpent, transcendental serpent, to the boat. He is King Satyavrat. He's Satyavrat Maharaj. And this one is Satyavrat Muni. They're two completely different personalities. So the Tattva Jnani, or the personality who knows that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he's attached to that sentiment that Krishna breathes in and out universes, and he's Gatana, Agatana. He makes the possible impossible and the impossible possible. That he's the source of all incarnations. Krishna wants them to know that he can't be controlled by them. That he's only controlled by, even Narada is a Jnani Bhakta, because, and he's so great, we hear about him all the time, how he has so many millions of disciples, and gives them all in love with God, but still, he's in the category of Jnani Bhakta, which means he knows that the Supreme Lord is unlimited, omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient. So he doesn't really require anything from me, but I get benefited when I glorify him, his greatness. Once Narada came to Gokul when Krishna was a little baby, and his mother was playing with him. And when Narada came, Mother Yasoda immediately, you know how the mothers, when they want their kid to bow down to the deities, they take the kid and turn him upside down and put their head down to the floor. So that's what Mother Yasoda did with baby Krishna. And Narada, who's a Jnani Bhakta, he got so embarrassed that Krishna is bowing down to him, but he didn't say anything. He just accepted it because he didn't want to disturb the mood of Mother Yasoda. Not that he could have, but that was his thought. So then one day, you all know the history of the fruit seller, right? Who doesn't? When you do?
Yeah.
And you don't?
You told me once, I don't remember.
Yeah, so there was a fruit seller who lived in Mathura, I'll tell it briefly. And so there was always back and forth trade between Vrindavan and Mathura. So the residents of Vrindavan would come to trade their goods in Mathura and share with the residents of Mathura all the beautiful pastimes of Krishna as a baby, as a little child. And so this fruit seller got attracted. She went to Braj just to have the vision of Krishna, just to meet him. And so she was calling out, everybody take apples, take bananas, take, what's that? Mangoes. Take mangoes. And then finally she got so absorbed in looking for Krishna, thinking do or die. If I don't meet with him, I'm not going back to Mathura. So she started singing, Damodar lo, take Damodar, take Madhava, take Govinda. And she was so absorbed in this, and Krishna heard her. So he asked his mother for some grains to trade for her fruits. And so he had the grains, he was a little kid. And because he couldn't easily hold the grains in his hands, they started falling out of his fingers. And by the time he got to her, there was just a few grains left. So she said, give me fruit. She said, I will. Then she finally saw him. She was so overwhelmed with ecstasy. Then she said, I will. But first you have to sit on my lap and call me mother, Ma. So Krishna looked around so nobody would see. And then he quickly, in 1 second, jumped on her lap, said Ma, and jumped off. Then give me fruits. So she gave him some fruits. And then he went back to his mother to show her the fruits. And she said, where did you get those fruits? And because he's just a little child, all he did was point to the door, the doorhouse. So she was very happy and she wanted to distribute those fruits. So she was distributing it, even though he only had a few fruits in his hand, and with difficulty holding them to his chest. Whatever fruit she took to distribute to the neighbors, it never diminished, it never got less. Meanwhile, the fruit seller went into a trance. She lost her external consciousness and she was just sitting there and not moving at all. And then one of the gopis from Vrindavan shook her and said, get up,
Go home.
go home. So she got up and she was like wandering, not knowing where her home was. And then she looked in the basket, which was her fruit basket, but now it was filled to the top with diamonds and rubies and all kinds of valuable jewels. Then she thought, Krishna has cheated me. He didn't give me himself, he only gave me these jewels. So she took the basket, threw it in the Jamuna, and where she went, nobody knows. But of course, Gurudev said, if Putana, the wicked witch who tried to kill Krishna with the poison from her breast, got a motherly destination in Golok, then what to speak of the destination this fruit seller got who was in love with Krishna. Then, so many nice pastimes Gurudev tells in this verse. Oh, and then he starts talking about the gopis. He said only personalities like Madhu Mangal, Subal, Sridham, his cowherd friends, Radha Yasoda, Nanda Baba, the Braj gopis, only they can control him, but the gopis can control him the most. And then Srila Gurudev gives some examples of that. And I think you know this verse because it's from the Radha Kripa Kataksha Stavaraj, which you sing every day. Anangaranga Mangala. It's on page 285. Anangaranga Mangala Prasanga Vangura Bhavam Nadir Brahmam Sambram Kiranta Vanupatan Nirantaram Vashikrita Pratitinanda Nandane Kadakarisya Siha Kripaka Takshavajam. Oh, mistress of all controllers, Radhika, on the stage of amorous sport, in the course of an auspicious discussion, you express amazement. She's talking with Krishna and Gopis. So, in amazement, she curves her eyebrows and makes her eyes go in a sidelong glance, and she suddenly fires arrows of those sidelong glances at Krishna, piercing him with amorous delusion and bringing him under her perpetual control. When will you make me a recipient of your merciful sidelong glance? So what's the significance of that sidelong glance? Shishi Radharaman Bihari Ji.
Right.
What is the significance of the sidelong glance? So by looking at Krishna with her sidelong glance, she has many pastimes where she's controlling him. So her sidelong glance includes these pastimes in it. And so I want that sidelong glance on me so that her pastimes with Krishna can be revealed in my heart. This is significance. Even you all know Lord Ram, one of the foremost incarnations of Krishna. His consort, the goddess of fortune, Sita, even she could not control Ram, and he banished her. But Gurudev says, can Krishna ever banish Radharani? No, rather she banishes him. Get out of our kunj. You never gave us anything to eat. We're not in your home. It is our place. So get out of our kunj because you're a cheater. And so many various chastisements. Then there is another that when Radharani exhibits her famous sulky mood or transcendental jealous anger, when Krishna, or when she thought that Krishna was with another beloved, who she forgets are all her expansions. even her topmost rival, is no one but her expansion. So sometimes she goes into Man, and then Krishna is feeling intense separation from her. So he goes to beg her pardon. I promise I'll never do this again, even if he hasn't done anything. Sometimes he acts in a way just to get her angry, so that, like one time he went to her and he was very late, and he said to her, "Oh my dear Chandra," and then pretended that he realized his mistake of starting to call her Chandravali, her chief rival. And then she said, "That's it. Not only are you late, but you just came back from your beloved. Go back to her. I'm not interested in having any relationship with you. Go." And so he's begging and begging and saying that my separation from you, even when they're sitting together, there can be intense separation if she's in Man. So he's saying the separation is of calm or of love is just like poison, which is burning me and devouring me. So please be merciful, and please place your lotus feet on my head, which will cool me, the only thing that can cool me from the burning poison. Then another one is a prayer by Srila Raghunath Goswami, praying for her service, and I want to be your servant. And this is quoted in the Valabhus Manjali, that even her maidservants control Krishna. And sometimes, if Radharani is in Man, and the maidservants, the manjaris, are guarding the door to her kunj, and then Krishna has to fall down at their feet and beg them to let him in. So therefore, Raghunath Das Goswami is praying to her in this way, showing us what is the highest aspiration. And it goes like this. If anybody knows it, you can utter it with me. Padabjayas talavina vadadasyameva nanyad kadapi samaye ladamandri sakyayate mama namostu nityam dasyayate mama rasostu satyam. O Goddess, I know that you're capable of bestowing any benediction, but I don't want anything other than the service of the dust of your lotus feet. I don't want to be a Saki, like a friend of yours. I mean, I take that on my head, I take that position on my head. But what I really relish is to be your maidservant. That's the essence of my life. And then, regarding Krishna having to propitiate the maidservants when Radharani is in Man, Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur has written in his Radha Rasa Suranidhi, where even though Prabodhananda Saraswati is a gopi, he's Tungavidya, one of Radharani's friends, on an equal platform, not as a servant. Still, he prays sometimes for that service. Now there's another verse, I think it's in the songbook in the Mangala section, but I'm not sure. Is it Prasanti? You have to King Kadisi? There used to be in a previous rendition. Yata Ken Karisu Bahusa Kalukakavani Nityam Parasya Purushasya Shikandamali Tasya Kadarasanide Prishabhanujayas Tatakeli Kanjavavanam Kanamarjanisyam. O daughter of Vrishabhanu Maharaj, ocean of rust, that beautiful boy who wears a gracefully tilting peacock feather in his hair is actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Still, he's always falling at the feet of the maidservants and pitifully begging them with many humble words to gain entrance into your kunj, where the two of you engage in playful amorous pastimes. So what is my desire then? When will I want to become one of the sticks, a broom has sticks that make up the broom. So when will I become one of the sticks on the broom that the gopis use to clean your, what is that, outside of the courtyard? So many beautiful prayers in this commentary of this verse, Iti Drixvalila Beer, that Krishna drowns the inhabitants of Vrindavan in pools of bliss, and he also becomes drowned in it. And he forgets himself that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He really thinks he's the baby son of Mother Yasoda. He thinks he's the beloved of the gopis, the friend of Sudam, Sridam, Subal, Madhumangal. In fact, he's so under the control. You know how he danced for the elderly gopis and danced to the rhythm, sang a little song. So he follows the gopis too. Like Radharani, he says, I don't know, I have no control of myself. I become just like a mad person. I'm just like the dancing pupil, and her prem is my dancing teacher, and her love causes me to dance many novel dances. It's like, you could have a dance where you know what you're doing, you take this step and then that step. But that's not the kind of dance he does. He does the dance of being uncontrolled, like a wind is the dancing teacher of the leaves that swirl around, like that. No other bhakti has the power to control Krishna so significantly. Now, another pastime he gives, being controlled by his mother, she tells him, today, Kanhaya, do not take the calves out to graze. It's your birthday. But he will not follow her order. He will eagerly go out to graze the cows. Why? What is in the forest that attracts him there so much? Within the forest, he can meet with the young Brajagopis. Really, everything he does is just to meet with them and give them pleasure. Gurudev gave the example that, how many of you have been to India, to Vrindavan? Okay, like half. So when you're there and you have a camera, you'll see 10 men lining up to be in the picture and take poses just to be in the picture. So similarly, Krishna does everything in order to attract the gopis, especially Sri Radha. Oh yeah, so all the residents means the cows, the calves, the mothers, they're all serving this particular topmost ras, amorous ras. And by serving this ras, which is the Adi ras, they also get nourished. By nourishing this ras, they get nourished. Like, the first verse of Bhagavatam? Who knows it? Do you? Huh? Good. Okay, so it starts Janmadhyasa, means that he's the source of everything, the maintainer of everything, and everything comes into him at the end. Like a spider Out of his saliva, the web comes and he plays in it, catches all the insects, and then brings the whole thing back into him. So Adiyasya means Adi Ras, which is the amorous Ras. So all the other rasas serve this Ras, and in turn they get served. Does anybody know any examples? Okay, an example is the cows. The cows nourish Krishna's amorous pastimes, by needing to be taken out into the forest. So Krishna wants to get out of his house, and that's the excuse, taking out the calves and later on the cows. Then he gets to sneak off and be with Radha and the gopis. So he goes out and he's playing with the cowherd boys, but he tells the cowherd boys then also that he's just going for a little bit somewhere with Madhu Mangal, and he'll be right back. So then he goes and performs pastimes with Radharani and comes back. But even though he's been away for a long time, he's such a magician that he makes them think that he's just gone away for a second. So if one wants to be in that topmost place, the groves, the amorous groves in Vrindavan, then he has to take the mood of following the gopis, following in their footsteps, and becoming a maidservant of Radha. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's several verses, and using these verses were some of the evidences that Srila Gurudev gave that our Srila Prabhupada is a gopi, particularly maidservant of Radharani, because he wrote the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which broadcasts the gopis' pastimes, and also the Krishna book. But he wouldn't have been able to do that if he wasn't that. So the verses in the CC. Sri Radha Krishna's pastimes in the grove of Vrindavan are extremely confidential. Such pastimes are beyond the grasp of anyone in the mood of Krishna's affectionate servant, friend, or parent. Only the damsels of Braj are qualified to see these secret pastimes, and only they can expand the pastimes, being the Radharani being the creeper, and the gopis and Manjari.
Does it say which shloka is that? Is that from Ujjwala Nilamani,
No, it's Chaitanya Charitamrita.
but quoted from Ujjwala Nilamani? Does it say?
Sorry?
Does it say?
Let me see. It says Madhulila 8, 201 to 204. So this is Lord Chaitanya's discussion with Ramananda Rai. So Ramananda Rai is revealing this.
It doesn't give the Bengali or the Sanskrit?
Well, yeah, you want that? Okay,
Yes,
here we go.
please.
Radha Krishna Lila e Ati Gudatar Dasya Vatsayadi Bhave Nahoe Gochara.
And then the next verse, Sabe Eka, that's 201. Sabe Eka Saki Ganera Ihan Adhikara Saki Hoite Hoya E Lilara Vistara. That is, only by them can the pastimes of Radha and Krishna be expanded. Like the creeper and the gopis and manjaris are like the flowers, and the manjaris are the flowers, and the leaves. What is a creeper without leaves and flowers? It is boring and naked. So with their assistance, their pastimes are expanded, nourished, broadcast. And then there's the next one is 203. Saki vina e lilaya anyara nahi gati. Saki bhave je thare kare anugati. Radha Krishna kunja seva sajya se pai. Se sajya pai te ara nahika upai. No one can see or participate in the pastimes without the help of the young Braj gopis, meaning following in their footsteps. Only those fortunate souls who follow in their footsteps by adopting their exalted mood of amorous love for Krishna will attain the ultimate goal of directly serving Sri Sri Radha and Krishna in the kunjas of Vrindavan. There is no other way. And Gurudev stressed that there's no other way, so Prabhupada couldn't be anything else. One day, Lord Shiva went to Braj with a desire to see baby Krishna. So he was like a yogi begging alms, and he'd call out, Alak Niranjan, Alak Niranjan, and played his damaru. You know what a damaru is? It's like an hourglass shaped drum, and it has strings, and it has a ball at the end of the string. And you go like this, and it makes sound. Yeah. I'm sure you can imagine it. So he was singing very loudly, and Mother Yasoda came to the door when she heard him singing. But his appearance was unusual to the point of frightening to Mother Yasoda. So he wore robes of tiger skin and a garland of human skulls. You can imagine how frightening that would be. Dangerous serpents adorned his hands, feet, and neck. You know, like on the wrist, on the arm, on the neck. But who were those serpents? Anantashesh, Krishna's serpent incarnation. So, also, he was covered head to toe with ashes from the crematorium. You can picture that. And he had a matted locks, which made him look very ancient but also dreadful. Then he was carried on a bull, massive bull, accompanied him. So seeing the terribly looking yogi who was approaching, accompanied by this big bull, Mother Yasoda became terrified, and she asked him dutifully, "Do you want some alms? Just wait, I'll bring you some." Then he replied, "Oh, Mother, I've walked so far to come here from my home in Kailash. Just show me your baby. That's the only alms that I want." And she said, "Eat or drink, whatever you like, but then go away. My child is sleeping." Then he said, "Oh, innocent mother, I do not want your flour, or your beans, or your silk cloths. I just want to see your baby." And she hesitated and said, "Look, I'm an adult, and I'm petrified of you. So I don't want you to see my baby." So then she went into the house, and she saw that her baby Krishna was weeping very, very loudly. And she tried all kinds of means to get him to stop crying. So then one of the neighbors told him, maybe this yogi has some special power. So why don't you bring the baby out and let the yogi see the baby. Maybe that'll help. So she was still so scared. She wrapped Krishna in black cloth, practically covering his face. She put thick black mascara on his eyes. She put this black dot on his face and brought him out. And then
Black dot to ward off the evil eye.
to ward off the evil eye. And so, how'd you know that?
Because that's what all the Indian ladies do.
Oh, that's what the Indian ladies do. Huh? So, anyway, as soon as Mahadev saw the baby, immediately the baby stopped crying. So then Mahadev said, "Okay, so I have these special powers. I'm going to stay nearby. I'm going to have a sacrificial fire near me. And then whenever your baby is having any difficulty, just call me and I'm right there." So he's still staying there. So these are some of the amazing pastimes. Another thing is, because obviously she didn't know that Krishna was God, so she would tell him stories of great personalities of Lord Ram. And so this pastime is found, but Rupa Goswami quotes this pastime in his Pajavali, which is what do you call it when there's a lot of verses together?
Anthology.
Anthology. Anthology of pastimes and verses. So one night, Mother Yasoda was tenderly stroking Krishna and lulling him to sleep with a story. Once there was a king. Krishna responded, yes, and his name was Dattara. She continued, he had 4 sons. When they grew up, Viswamitra Muni, powerful sage, took them to protect the arena of the sacred fire sacrifice because there's a lot of demons passing stool and urine and half bodies onto the fire sacrifice, and the sages were doing their fire sacrifices for the benefit of society, and these demons were stopping it. So then, and Krishna murmured, yes. So after they saved the fire sacrifice, Vishwamitra took them to Matila. It was just actually not the 4 sons who went, but just Ram and Lakshman. Kings came in Matila. Kings came from many far-off lands, she continued, but they all failed. What was going to happen? There was a marriage swayambara where the girl chooses her own husband by some wonderful feat that he can perform that no one else can perform. Because Sita was, she was so powerful, he realized one day she was cleaning the room with her friends, and there was this big, massive table with the bow of Lord Shiva on it, and 100 men could barely lift this bow. So when he saw her, his daughter, lift it like that, so she could clean under it and then put it back, he thought, I'm only going to marry my daughter to somebody who's like that, who could pick it up, string it, and not shoot, because you don't want arrows around. So the kings came from all over, and Ram strung the massive bow and broke it. Then Princess Sita was married to Lord Ram. Krishna murmured as she spoke, and whenever she paused, even for a brief moment, he eagerly inquired, Mother, what happened next? To carry out his father's order, Ram had to enter the forest in exile, and Sita and Lakshman went with him. When they were residing in a place called Panchavati, the demon Maricha tricked Ram and led him into the forest. Meanwhile, Ravana came and kidnapped Sita. Just hearing this, Krishna, absorbed in the mood, this is like little Krishna, absorbed in the mood of Ram, sprang up from the bed, crying, Lakshman, bring my bow. Where's my bow, my bow? May Sri Hari's impassioned cries, when he's absorbed in this mood, protect you. That's the prayer. Jai means stop. It's 10 after 8. You want me to stop now? How come? Because everybody's tired? Okay. Actually, there's only one very quick one. There's like a paragraph or 2. So one day, and then the verse ends. Okay. One day, while Mother Yasoda was churning yogurt in an earthen pot, she attracted her darling son to her with sweet words. Then, for a short time, she left to do something else. When Krishna's eyes suddenly fell upon the earthen pot, he saw the moon reflected on the surface of the yogurt because it's shiny. When Mother Yasoda returned, he repeatedly demanded, Mother, I want the moon. Give me that toy. Mother Yasoda took a lump of butter from the pot and gave it to him. At first he was happy, but as children would be children, he got tired of that really quick. And then again he looked at the pot. He saw the moon was still there, and again he demanded it. Mother Yasoda said, "Look up. That is the moon." "I want it," Krishna demanded. "There's poison in it," she said. Krishna asked, "How did it get poison?" "Well, a long time ago, when the demigods and demons churned the great ocean of milk, poison came on its surface. That poison is on the moon." Because the moon also came out of the ocean of milk. Do you see those black impressions on the moon? That is the poison. What is it called, the marks on the moon? Huh?
Spots.
Hmm?
Spots.
Yeah, spots. So, that poison is on the moon. Do you see those black impressions on the moon? That is the poison. Tell me, who would want to play with that? And hearing this, Krishna became afraid. So such are Krishna's unlimited pastimes. He drowns the residents of Braj in the ocean of their sweetness, and even himself drowns in that ocean. Goa Premanandi, Shri Damodarastakam ki jai, Shri Gurudeva ki jai, Shri Sanatana Goswami ki jai, Shri Satyavrata Muni ki jai, Goa Premanandi. Actually, wait a second. It says on the cover of the book. Yeah, that's right. Satyavrata Muni got the story of the Damodarastakam from the Puranas. They were written by Krishna Dvaipayana Veda Vyas, so he's actually the source. So Shri Vyasdeva ki jai, Goa Premanandi. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Nitya Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Gora Hari Bo, Gora Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Panchagovatu Yasya Kripa Sindhu Patijanam Pavanebhyam Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Okay, so Srila Gurudev said that during one class in Badger, that if after the class you repeat what you heard from me, then it will have gone into your ears, but then it will go down into your heart. But if after the class you start just talking about any old thing, then it's going to go in one ear and out the other, and it will propagate in the air. So, Alina asked for a spiritual name, and I couldn't give her a spiritual name because I told her I can't think of it ascendingly, it has to descend. So then this afternoon it came to me, and according to Madhavi, who was with me at the time, it actually, because you're Spanish, right? Even though you look Indian?
I'm actually not. I just speak
What are you?
Armenian, Lebanese.
You're what?
Armenian and Lebanese.
Armenian. So why did you say Spanish?
Because I was speaking Spanish with
Oh, you were speaking Spanish. So she said, so anyway, so the name that came is Ladini Shakti. Alina, and then Ladini Shakti. And that is Srimati Radhika. And Madhavi said, Ladini in Spanish has to do with magic. And no one could be more magical than Srimati Radhika. And you know, Aladdin and the magic lamp. So it's all in relation to magic and Radharani.
Wait, what?
Ladini Shakti is Srimati Radhika. But then Dasi means servant of the servant of Radharani. Prabhupada said that we can tell when our life is perfect when we consider ourselves servant of the servant 100 times down.
How many times?
Hundreds.
Hundreds.
108 though.
Okay. So what happens now?
Arti.
Oh, you didn't do arti.
No. Adi.
He can help you with this. Ladini, he can help you with the spelling.
Okay. Okay, we'll pull this mat out. We get the signs.
Oh my gosh, Jackie. Linda's leaving us.
What's eating?
Oh. We boarded at 11:30 or something. Flight's at 3. Alright. Sachidandan Gaur Hari Ki Jai. Switch. You're on Krishna's
Red
side.
Rover, Red Rover.
I like this side.
You're on Krishna's side.
You guys like that side?
Oh, this makes sense.
Shiva Jaya Jaya Goda Chande Arati Shobha Shiva Jaya.
Nityananda ki jai. Shri Brajamandal Parikrama ki jai. Parikram Bharat Puri Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Kartik Prakriyam Seva ki jai. Ananda Kuti Vaishnavi ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Shri Radha Novyani ki jai, Radha Kayu ki jai, Bhakti Radha Nai Goswami Raj ki jai, Shishma Bhakti. Bharti Goswami Raj ki jai, Shishma Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai.